Lebanon is in mourning and it is angry. The responsibility of the 2,700 tons of confiscated ammonium nitrate, which exploded on the port of Beirut August 4th, lays in the hands of corrupt, thieving, selfish government officials who the people have been trying to overturn for the past 3 decades. Lebanon, a land not at all unfamiliar with war and overseen by a constant threat of instability, saw an explosion like no other a couple of days ago. As this explosion sent shockwaves across the city and was felt as far as Cyprus, over 200 kilometers away, locals were sure that this was the end, that they were going to die. Onlookers and the massive diaspora of hopeless Lebanese around the world who looked on at this travesty from the safety of our own homes and couldn't help but question, why were these highly dangerous chemicals stored at the port? The same port that is responsible for 80% of Lebanon's food supplies being imported into a country that was already in the midst of the most crippling financial crisis it has ever faced. Why? The answer is complicated and really simple.
Lebanon is an accident waiting to happen.
It is the same reason the Lebanese have been fighting on the streets for the revolution or thawra, demanding for the toppling of what some Lebanese are calling being ruled by terrorists, war criminals, and thieves. It is the same reason that those politicians have been getting richer, while families over the past few months in particular have been unable to access life-saving medicine, let alone a bag of bread. It is the same reason 2,700 tons of ammonium nitrate were stored in Ward number 12 under court ruling without any regulation for 6 years. It's a fundamental job for any member of government to want to protect its people. And this unprecedented devastation is the biggest example of the Lebanese government's failure to do that and arguably to care. The same government responsible for this disaster are now exonerating themselves, saying that they didn't know the chemicals were that dangerous, demanding survivors remain silent and ruthlessly removing tens of those who are now homeless for political photo ops, while volunteers and the injured desperately attempt to find those missing amongst the rubble. This is the same government that has failed to bring the most basic necessities to what was once called the Paris of the Middle East, like electricity, water, and sanitation. People on the outside who once admired the resilience of the Lebanese are now realizing that that resilience comes at a great cost, and it is one that the Lebanese cannot afford to bear any longer. Resilience shouldn't mean grappling with the most severe economic collapse, where the Lebanese lira or pound has lost 80% of its value since October 2019. Resilience shouldn't mean starving in the streets, where unemployment is at an all-time high, while fighting to survive amidst a global pandemic, while fighting to end the criminal kafala system, while fighting to send the now homeless domestic workers home who have been dumped outside the Ethiopian embassy, while fighting for your own human rights, all the while being one of the smallest countries, yet having the biggest number of refugees in the world. The calamity of this explosion was avoidable. The people of Lebanon, just like anywhere else, should be thriving without its young people having to flee to study, to feel freedom or safety for the first time. Anyone who is from Lebanon or who has lived there knows how deep the connection is to this highly complex place. They know and they fight because, having survived wars, invasions, and civil unrest, the Lebanese have had no other choice but to fight and to remain resilient. At the time of writing this, 78 people have lost their lives, 60 are in a critical condition, over 4,000 are wounded, hundreds are missing, and hundreds of thousands are homeless. This will no doubt ignite a new kind of fight, with many as always wondering, when will Lebanon get its break?